We be live. Hi, everyone. Make sure you like the stream. I'm going to do an audio check. Let me know in the live chat that you have already liked the stream so that Alfred is here. Is Alfred here? Yes, Alfred is here. Thank you so much, Alfred, for being here and highlighting. Guys, Alfred is doing, dedicating his time here to make sure that your comments are part of the stream as well. So it's not just my opinions, but your opinions as well. So we're very grateful for Alfred being here. Let me just do a sound check before we get started. All right, audio is working. Thank you everyone for being here. So you guys know what happened, right? This is insane. I have no idea what to make of this. So we're gonna figure this out together because I don't know what's happening in the UK. Actually put this video on screen here so that we could analyze what the hell is happening. Okay. I do not understand how this could happen in the UK. And I'm going to be open-minded. I'm going to try to see what the hell is happening. I have the news. I have so many videos. So Tommy Robinson was doing a protest. I know Harris Sultan was going to complain just to be part of that protest. I was, I did a documentary one time on one of Tommy Robinson's protests. But I know this was something that a lot of people were looking forward to. So many people joined. I will show you how many, the people that showed up at the protest. But Tommy was arrested. And for what? We'll see. It's just insane. The whole thing is insane. And the reason why I think it's beyond insane is tragic is this is the UK. All my life I grew up when I was studying history and philosophy and politics, the ideas that the rest of the world is inspired by, that is making the world a much better place. The whole idea of liberalism, of the modern Republican liberal tradition that has made the world a much better place, comes mostly out of two countries, one being France, the other one being UK. And one of the foundational principles that all of these other methods and values and ideas come from is based on the principle of liberalism and freedom, the most important of which being freedom of expression. So when somebody is being arrested for the things that they have said or the expressions they have made in the heart, in the capital of liberalism, this is not a threat just to the UK. This is a threat to every other nation state, because the principles of liberalism are failing where they all came from. So, and Tommy Robinson actually represents one of these. I know he's right-leaning, and a lot of people don't understand this, but Tommy himself, defending his nation state, representing a nationalist patriotic attitude, does represent one of the most important principles of liberalism, of at least traditional liberalism. Well, let's see this is the video of his arrest. Look at this and tell me what should have Tommy done for this to be justified. Look at the way he's being treated and tell me exactly, guys, our audio is okay? Everything is fine? Tell me what sort of a person this level of police force would require. Like, what would that person should have had done for this to be justified? So let's look at this together.
Fucking police! You are under arrest! What am I under arrest for? What am I under arrest for, please? What's your back? Move out of the way! Let him go! Let him go! Let him go! Put bubble on! Bubble on! Bubble! Move back! Push out! Push out! Create space! Move back! You're obstructing us! You're obstructing the police! Move back! Out of the way! Clear the way! You're obstructing the police in the course of their duty. Move back!
They sprayed him. I think they sprayed him. Am I wrong here? Because look at his face. They pepper sprayed him.
In the course of their duty.
I mean, why would they pepper spray him? He's already surrounded by 20 police officers. Why? And his hands are tied. Like, why would they? Is that not unnecessary torture? Like, why would they pepper? Like, his hands is behind his back, and he's surrounded by 20 police officers. Why would you pepper spray him?
Move back! Move back!
Look.
Containment around him. Come on.
Yeah, I was right. I was wondering, did they spray him? Like, because he's going like this with his eyes. I'm like, is this real? Did they actually pepper spray him? Somebody is saying in the crowd, guys, let me know if I'm getting anything incorrect, anything wrong. Somebody in the crowd is saying, why did you spray him for?
What'd you pepper spray him for? Move forward! Forward! Move back! Move back! Move back! Move out the way!
All right, so a couple of things about this scene. First of all, usually I tell people, I mean, everybody does. Everybody with everybody that is sane will tell you, when you're being arrested, do not resist arrest. Okay, and that's all. You know, in most countries, that's a sound advice. Sometimes the police make it difficult for you, so they treat you in a way that your body is physically cannot stop resisting what's happening. You know, it's so if you're being arrested, you should cooperate with the police and do not resist arrest. And when they if it's a wrongful arrest, you should go and sue them later. The time of the arrest is not the time. However, when you're physically are being pushed around in such a way that your body's natural reaction is to, what the hell is happening to me? Like, this is such a high level degree of abuse that my body has to react. Then that natural reaction would look like a resisting arrest, and that form of that now you have an excuse to now be even more aggressive because it looks like resisting arrest. And now that you're being more abusive, your body will react to it more, and then it's just a cycle. So this is like, you have so many. By the way, some people are saying that this is excessive force, and I say this is excessive force. But other people, to counter that, might say, well, they were arresting him in such an area that could have happened something to the police. And because of the crowd being there, they had to bring this much force not because Tommy being a threat, but the crowd being a threat. That's a dumb excuse, because they didn't have to arrest him right there in the middle of that crowd. If you look what they arrested him for, which is insane, I will show you. We will get to that. This did not have to happen here at that time immediately in that situation. So arresting him in that area is an excuse to also use excessive force. Let me know, guys, if you think I'm saying anything here that is incorrect. Let's look at how the news covered this. By the way, he was released eventually. We will get to that. But then I don't know, there's some new updates that I don't. If you have any most recent updates, please mention it in the live chat. And Alfred, please highlight them. So let's listen to this lady from Sky News and see how she covers it.
Now, thousands of people have gathered in central London to attend a far-right protest led by Tommy Robinson.
Why? Why? Far right according to who? Based on what definition of far right? Like, way to poison the well right at the beginning. Is this unbiased journalism? Like, how is this fair? How is this fair? What is it about the protest or Tommy Robinson that makes them far right? Like, can you explain? Like, why are they just throwing around these words? How is anybody, if people are using you as a source of information, how are they not going to have a biased stance based on your framing of it? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. How is this allowed?
Now, thousands of people have gathered in central London to attend a far-right protest led by Tommy Robinson. Robinson's demonstration is expected to move from the Royal Courts of Justice to a rally in Trafalgar Square. There's also a counter-protest today. Sky's Martin Brunt joins me now from the capital. So, Martin, tell us, what is this all about?
Tommy Robinson has been rallying his supporters over the past few days for an event that he's described as the biggest day of his life, and likewise for his supporters. He's been saying on X.
Look how far right these people are. They have a flag of Israel. You know how far right is very friendly to Jewish people, right, guys? One of the key ways for you to recognize who's far right is their friendly attitude towards Jews. They have a flag of Israel there. How is this far right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The biggest day of his life, and likewise for his supporters. He's been saying on X in the past few days, and people who follow him seem to have responded in vast numbers. So this is the scene at the Strand where his supporters are gathering. There appear to be thousands of them, many women and children. He has been at pains on his social media postings to tell people that if they're coming with violence in mind, then he doesn't want them there. I mean,
if they're coming with violence in mind, he doesn't want them there. What else do you expect from the man? Unbelievable.
He has said that this is the biggest chance for him and his supporters to make their presence felt. As he says, to strike fear into the heart of the establishment by.
And what are you talking about, Mark? Unbelievable. I'm gonna put you on time because you're lying, piece of crap.
Conducting ourselves as English gentlemen. They have lots of gripes. They are concerned about the way the country is being run. They are concerned about the way police have been, in their terms, going soft on those huge pro-Palestinian marches that we've seen over the last or almost a year in London. There is a counter-protest by Stand Up to Racism. They are gathering about a mile from this scene. And the police are very concerned. I think it's fair to say that there is potential for trouble if those two groups are allowed to meet, potential for violence, the police believe. So there are 1,000 police officers on duty. They have already used powers they've got to insist that the groups meet at separate locations and travel in different directions. They will end up at opposing ends of Whitehall later today. Both groups of supporters are planning rallies. Tommy Robinson's supporters have a rally planned at Trafalgar Square. Stand Up to Racism, they're going to meet at Parliament Square. So Whitehall will be clear of people. There'll be a lot of police officers there, and they hope that they will manage to keep the two sides apart, because they do believe that there is potential, at least, for clashes between these two opposing groups.
All right, let me Let me go to make sure I got all the news correctly so that we could look at the next one. Okay, so let's look at the people at the protest. What do they say about
We're here supporting Tommy Robinson.
I'm here to support Tommy because he's a patriot. He's not racist. He loves everybody. And if he supports the great values of Great Britain, that's why we're here. And he supports Christianity, to protect Christianity, and that's why we're here.
But the media has portrayed Tommy as a right-wing racist, far right. So what do you want to say about that?
I've watched Tommy, I've studied about his stuff, and there is no cell of hatred in him. He's a lovely man, and he doesn't hate people. He tells his truth, and he has the freedom of speech. He has the freedom to speak, and he's protecting our children in the long run, so that's why we...
How did you feel on discovery that Tommy had been arrested, not for contempt of court in not following an order, but terrorism?
Well, for many years, the media has showed us who a terrorist looks like, and he doesn't fit in that box. So, Mr. Tommy Robinson, he's not a...
Okay, so I'm sorry to that guy that I did not mistrust, because in the live chat somebody was arguing that that video is an example of how Tommy is treated by police. But I thought he's saying that he wasn't arrested. Yes, he was just recently arrested out during this protest. But yes, that video is an older example of how Tommy is treated by police. So thank you for that correction. I thought you're saying you're saying that he wasn't recently arrested, but he was recently arrested.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir.
I believe Mr. Keir Starmer is going to do the right thing because he's a barrister and legally trained. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
So this next video was interesting to me because this guy is Iranian, and I understand what he's saying, and he was at the protest and he was complaining about Tommy's arrest. So he speaks Persian. So guys, look at how far right Tommy Robinson protests are. Like, you have black people, you have Israelis, there's Iranians there, British Iranians there supporting Tommy Robinson. So he's now, what is this account? Let me actually give credit to this account, because Iranian guy, this account is from Made Meshki Push. Oh, which he actually follows me on Twitter. Fantastic. All right, so this guy, Iranian guy, supporting Tommy and at the protest. He's saying this morning Tommy Robinson was arrested. Okay, so the arrest, so I was correct. The arrest just happened just recently. That was just the video that I've initially showed you was from earlier this winter, an example of how how Tommy is treated by the police. So he's saying that this is a patriotic protest. So he's not the Iranian guy is describing it as a patriotic protest, not like a. He's saying there are 50,000 people at the protest. This Iranian guy. I don't know what the numbers are. Some people are saying 10,000. This guy is saying 50,000. And he's saying Tommy was arrested because of his film, the truth that he was showing. We will get into we're going to figure this out together. Why Tommy was arrested. Has it anything to do with terrorism? He's saying that Tommy was wrongfully arrested for terrorism only because he was showing the truth to people.
اتفاقاتی داره میفته. حالا مردم در مقابل ایستگاه پلیس میان توسط اومدن جمع شدن و دارن اعتراض میکنن که به خاطر دستگیری تامی رابینسون.
All right, so this is now he's saying that these people here now are gathering. So this is separate from the initial protest. These people are gathering to protest his arrest. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. Let me see what the context for this video is. This is British people protest to stand with Tommy after his arrest. Okay, so this one is a recent video. This is after Tommy's arrest, and people are there to support him against the police arresting him. Okay, so let's watch this.
Tommy Robinson! Where's Scotland Yard?
Just there, mate.
Around the corner.
Yeah, just there, literally.
Building now. Right in front of you. It's right there on the
That
front
one
of you.
there?
In front of you, on the right. Are we going on the same way?
Off to Scotland Yard we go.
All right, so they're saying free Tommy now.
Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now!
Free Tommy now!
Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy now! Free Tommy!
Oh, all right. Let's go to this video. Okay, I can't play this because this has music. All right, so while we're showing this, let me actually read why he was arrested. Tommy Robinson was arrested on July 28, 2024. Okay, so this is recent. Under the Terrorism Act 2000, what? His arrest occurred at the, okay, so I don't care about the place. He was detained by police officers under Schedule 7 of the Act, which allows authorities to stop individuals at UK ports to investigate potential involvement in terrorism-related activities. How does that make any sense? Robinson was subsequently arrested for frustration of this examination as he allegedly obstructed police efforts by refusing to provide the PIN for his phone, claiming it contained legally privileged information related to an ongoing legal case. How is that possible? You can, in the UK, the police can force you to give you the PIN of their phone, and if you refuse that, that would be the obstruction of police efforts. I can't believe this. This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense. This makes absolutely no sense. This is a violation of all the principles that we defend here on this channel. The context of his arrest is linked to a protest he organized in London the day before, which drew around 10,000 supporters. During this event, Robinson screened a 1 hour and 45-minute film titled Silenced, which discussed a legal dispute involving Jamal Hijazi, a Syrian refugee. Robinson had previously been ordered by a court not to repeat certain allegations about Hijazi, which he had made in the past and for which he was found liable for defamation in 2021. This ongoing legal battle, including potential contempt proceedings against Robinson, is significant as it pertains to the claims made in the documentary he presented during the protest. Robinson's arrest and the use of counterterrorism legislations have sparked considerable debate. His supporters claim that the police actions are politically motivated, while law enforcement maintains that they acted within the scope of their legal powers. By the way, be careful with that, because it's possible for you to act within the legal scope of their legal powers, but be selective on who they enforce it on, even if it is within the framework of the law. But by being selective about how they enforce it, to be political about it. So if somebody says this is not politically motivated because is within the scope of our legal powers, those two are not mutually exclusive. it could still be within the scope of your legal power and be politically motivated. So by being selective on how you use it. And then it continues, notably, the Metropolitan Police later clarified that they had no involvement in the arrest, suggesting that it was conducted by Kent Police independently. Following his arrest, Robinson was released on bail, but he faces further legal challenges, including a court appearance related to the contempt proceedings stemming from his alleged breach of the court order regarding the film. All right, so let's actually watch another video of somebody explaining all of this, right? So let's go back a little bit in history to see how people treat Tommy and how silencing Tommy is something that has been attempted for a very long time, and this is now the latest attempt of it. So let's go back to 2018, March 2018, and then get to this point. Okay, so there's this guy from Rebel News that explains all of this very effectively. So let's listen to this guy.
Videos. I, as a result, have the first.
So this is Labor MP Cooper, who's now and has a lot more power than she used to have. But this is back in 2018. She's talking to. Actually, let me make sure that I have this perfectly ready. Labor Party this is Labor Party that using anti-terrorism laws against Tommy, and that's the context. And so this been 6 years in the making. They have been waiting 6 years. This is them talking to YouTube and Google officials regarding why when Tommy was on YouTube, why YouTube would recommend his videos. So let's listen to this.
Videos. I, as a result, have the first 2 videos recommended to me by YouTube. When I just click on, as I've just done this afternoon, I click onto YouTube, the first 2 recommendations are Tommy Robinson videos. So the Tommy Robinson that was identified as part of the Finsbury Park online radicalisation process, that's what YouTube's recommended. I've not searched for it. YouTube has recommended that to me. Doesn't that cause you some serious alarm?
If you speak out against their narrative, they will come for you.
Ezra Levant here in Canada. The news that I'm following right now, though, is in the United Kingdom. Yesterday, Tommy Robinson had a huge pro-British rally, patriotism against extreme immigration, etc. 50 to 100,000 people attended, depending which source you believe. Very peaceful. But then today, shockingly, Tommy Robinson was arrested and detained under the Terrorism Act, which is astonishing because Tommy Robinson is not a terrorist. He's never been accused of being a terrorist. In fact, if you listen to him, he's an anti-terrorist.
If you haven't realised yet, we're not backing down, right? Next up, it doesn't matter who you are, what level you are, what your job is or what your career is. If you speak out against their narrative, they will come for you.
So why would he be arrested and detained under the Terrorism Act? I think
this is insane. So because there's this Terrorism Act, you could use this act on non-terrorists to just basically do whatever you want with them, silence them, search their phone without any warrant or anything, force them to give you the PIN of their phone, and any form of resisting that would be a violation of the law. So it started with the documentary. That showing the documentary apparently was an act of not following the court orders, contempt of the court. So they sent the police for that, and then eventually it got to terrorism charges. This is so bizarre. So if you have, so I understand how libel law works. I understand how if you're lying about somebody and you could be liable for damages and then you have to pay them money because of it. I understand that law. That law makes sense. Okay. That's actually called something else, that law. But that's not a criminal dispute. That's a civil dispute between two individuals or two private entities. So if you lie about somebody and now you have to pay damages for them because of it, the government should not get involved. There's nothing, but in the UK, for some reason, the court can tell you not to say anything anymore about that individual. And if you say that, now that would be a criminal issue. That's insane. That's a violation of people's freedom of expression, because with that standard, showing a documentary now could be illegal. How is it possible that UK has become a country that showing a documentary is illegal? That's a violation of all the liberal principles, the most important of them. And now after that, they went to get him, apparently, and this guy will explain it, and they were trying to look into his phone and they're using some laws that is meant for searching terrorists. They used that law against Tommy because he wouldn't give the PIN on his phone, and they arrested him. What is this a joke? What are we doing here? When did we give so much power to the police that they have the right to see in my phone because of some terrorism laws that has nothing to do with somebody who's not a terrorist? This is insane. You're making a mockery out of your laws. Unbelievable.
If you speak out against their narrative, they will come for you.
So why would he be arrested and detained under the Terrorism Act? I think I know why. If you look at Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act of 2000 in the UK, it allows police to sweep up someone, detain them without charges, ask them questions that they cannot refuse to answer. Normally, when police arrest you, you have the right to remain silent. Not so under the Terrorism Act. You're compelled to give answers.
You're compelled to give answers? What the hell? Is this Saudi Arabia? Is this the Islamic Republic in Iran? You're compelled to give answers under some terrorism laws that could be used on non-terrorists as well? How is this a thing?
Not only that, but you're compelled to give any documents or other things like that to police. And they don't have to have a search warrant. They don't have to charge you with a crime. They don't have to have a search warrant. You can ask for a lawyer, but it's up to the police whether or not you get one. In fact, Schedule 7 specifically allows police to refuse to get you a lawyer for a period of time.
So because of terrorists, you could make terrorists not have access. Because of terrorism, you could make people who are not terrorists, using laws designed for terrorists, you can make it so some other people who have nothing to do with terrorism not have access to a lawyer after they're arrested? I mean, this is not, guys, we're not exaggerating. This Terrorism Act is being used on somebody with no ties to terrorism. So this is not an exaggeration. This is happening. And all of this Terrorism Act you are able, as the police, you could refuse, you could deny, you could stop somebody from having access to a lawyer. What are you doing to the UK? What are you doing? What is this happening? Guys, this is not just about Tommy. This is about the freedoms you enjoy as UK citizens. Tommy is just like what's happening to Tommy. This is just a representation of a much greater problem. Tommy is just exposing all of this. How is this happening? Why is this happening?
Now, why would such an astonishing law be on the books? Well, it's called the terrorism law. And you could imagine a situation where if you catch a Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or an Osama bin Laden or a terrorist mastermind, when there's like a ticking time bomb scenario, you might want to interrogate that person right away without the legal niceties. It would sort of be like waterboarding without the water. But only in extreme cases where time is of the essence and a building is about to be blown up, so you need that information now, and search warrants be damned. But that doesn't apply to Tommy Robinson. Like I say, he's never been accused of or convicted of terrorism in his life. He just had the most peaceful rally that downtown London has seen in memory, compared to, say, the weekly pro-Hamas hate marches in that city. I think one of the reasons police use...
Wait, hold on. Look at that image. Look, there are people with hijab. No, that's the pro-Hamas rally. Okay.
that city. I think one of the reasons police use Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act against them is because, in addition to speeches about patriotism and musical entertainment, yesterday Tommy played a documentary film that he had made about a case of a Syrian migrant who Tommy says was beating up kids at the school, but the kid says that was defamatory. Tommy made a film purporting to show that no, he had proof of school teachers acknowledging that this kid had done terrible things, but it was covered up. Tommy made a movie about this, but he was also sued in defamation law about this, and a judge said,
defamation law. That's what it's called. Libel law is about something. Sorry, defamation.
Show the movie. Well, Tommy did anyways, but that's not a crime. Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's not a crime, guys. If you say something that is considered untrue, if it is untrue, that causes a cost to somebody that could be measured monetarily, right? Then liberal countries, the solution they have to that is that would be a civil issue, not a criminal issue. That you will have to pay damages to that entity, to that private entity or individual. But you cannot make that criminal, because if you make it criminal, then certain speech will become criminal. And that would be violation of free speech principles. So even if the court is correct, if I say something and is damaging to you, well, then we could evaluate and I could pay the cost. And if I say it again in the future, then it will be evaluated again and I will pay another cost to that person that I'm causing harm, right? If it could be demonstrated in such a way. But you cannot come and tell me as the court that do not repeat this again, or if you do, that would be a crime. No, you cannot do that. That's speech. You cannot make any form of speech unless it's a direct incitement to violence and a few other exceptions, but this is not it. You cannot make speech and expression illegal or a crime. You cannot do that. You should not be able to do that. And apparently they have done that, because in the UK, apparently, what is this thing called? Every time the court asks you to do something, and if you don't do it, they call it contempt. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, contempt of the court or something like that. Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah, contempt of court proceedings. So if the court says like, hey, don't say this, and then you say it, now contempt of court, oh, you said something that is illegal. You said something that is illegal. You should not be able to say that in the UK. You said something that is illegal to say. Holy crap. Where is Voltaire? Voltaire used to look at the UK as a role model of a country, and then like, hey, bring those guys back. We need them.
Tommy was going to have some sort of civil hearing about it, but like I say, not a crime, not terrorism, basically journalism that the state didn't like. My theory is that the government swept in, used these terrorism laws to catch Tommy before he could move on to another jurisdiction, and they're holding him under false pretenses so they can do something to him legally. I don't really know the details, and in a way, they're not important. All you need to know is that the United Kingdom is now arresting journalists on trumped-up excuses using
This is like in Canada when Trudeau was using, I don't know, some weird laws to get the truckers to close their bank accounts and crap like that. Like this is very similar to that. Like, how is this allowed? Guys, take back your country. Like, don't you doesn't the UK have a lot of patriotic lawyers to be able to just come volunteer and defend Tommy? Like, I don't know, and maybe they have. I just want you guys to tell me. Like, isn't this like, shouldn't there be even people who are not right-leaning? Shouldn't this be actually? Shouldn't left-leaning people be very concerned about this? Like liberal people, they're like, hey, what the hell? Like, we have terrorism laws that could just randomly be used on average citizens if the police doesn't have an excuse to arrest them and they want to arrest them for some other reason. Now this terrorism law can be applied to anybody, and we could force people to answer questions. We could like demand them to give us the pin of their phone, and if they don't, they will arrest them. We could refuse people to have access to a lawyer to defend themselves. Shouldn't everybody, like, even if you're like, guys, people who hate Tommy, beyond whether Tommy is good or bad, shouldn't this be a concern regardless of how good or bad Tommy is? Like, if you're listening to this and you think like, Armin, you're going insane, Tommy is a far right bigot and he doesn't deserve any support, even if that is true, shouldn't this be a concern that the police can do this in the UK?
Terrorism laws to sweep them off the streets without warrant or charge. If you think this is astonishing, well, it is, but it's not surprising. Let me show you a video from about 6 years ago. And Tommy Robinson, as you may know, worked for Rebel News about this time, and so was very attentive. He was big on social media back then, as he is now on Twitter. And this caused MPs to just pull their hair out because Tommy Robinson was very popular for his ideas, even though everyone wanted to shut him up. So take a look at this. This is a parliamentary House of Commons committee in London, and they had before them the head of global counterterrorism from YouTube. You can imagine that terrorist groups love to use YouTube to recruit terrorists and to, have propaganda videos and snuff films in various different languages, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. So YouTube has an executive in charge of global counterterrorism. And he was there in London talking about counterterrorism. And all these Labour MPs wanted to talk about was not about terrorism, but how they could get him to shut up that Tommy Robinson, because whenever they would Google Tommy Robinson, he would keep showing up in their suggested videos. Take a look at this. Here's 4.5 minutes of British MPs demanding that YouTube censor Tommy Robinson. By the way, you'll see the executive has no clue who he is, because this global counterterrorism executive is used to dealing with real terrorist groups. He just doesn't understand what they're talking about. Take a look.
Your algorithms on YouTube, when you are searching for national action, will then promote the likes of Tommy Robinson and Britain First. This is despite the fact that the Finsbury Park Mosque, where somebody was killed, and that's recently been in the headlines, despite the fact that videos of Tommy Robinson were cited as part of the online radicalisation of Darren Osborne in the Finsbury Park court case, YouTube continues to promote them videos. What have you got to say about that?
We are working to make sure that videos that promote hate or promote violence, if they violate our policies, are removed from the platform. If they walk right up to the line, we have also, at the encouragement of this committee, developed a new enforcement mechanism to limit the features that these have. They should not be appearing in our recommendation engine. If they are, I will take this back to our team and see what the problem is.
Okay, but they are. I mean, they are appearing. They are in my recommended timeline at the moment. So because I've been searching on my iPad for national action videos, I, as a result, have the first 2 videos recommended to me by YouTube. When I just click on, as I've just done this afternoon, I click onto YouTube, the first 2 recommendations are Tommy Robinson videos. So the Tommy Robinson that was identified as part of the Finsbury Park online radicalisation process, that's what YouTube's recommended. I've not searched for it.
Okay, so this Tommy was on YouTube back then, and this lady managed to make YouTube remove Tommy from YouTube. So this is a Labour MP, and now these same people have more power than when she was talking here. So what's going to happen to YouTube now that she has more power? Like, what the hell is going to happen now? Can somebody explain?
YouTube has recommended that to me. Doesn't that cause you some serious alarm?
I can't speak to these particular videos personally. It causes me a lot of alarm, but I will take this back to our team.
This guy is YouTube. By the way, we can't blame YouTube, because YouTube needs to listen to these politicians or else they're not going to let you operate in their country. Like, YouTube has to listen to politicians. The problem is with these politicians, not with YouTube.
See why this is happening.
It's not even just about the individual videos. It's actually a recommended channel. I have got up here, it is coming up as my recommended channels, that one of the recommended channels for me is Tommy Robinson recommended channel. I've also got British Warrior, I've got a series of other, quite sort of extreme things that are coming up, but I have specifically Tommy Robinson recommended channel. You can pass you my iPad.
It's important for the company.
This guy is like, who's Tommy Robinson? Right, so
Company and for our bottom line, for the recommendation engine to work as it is intended to make sure that people can find quality content that they are looking for. It should not be serving up videos that incite or inspire hate. If it is, there is a problem, and I will take it back to the team and see that it's addressed.
But lots of people have raised this with you. This is not just us. This is not the first time. I do not believe this is the first time you have heard this. Allegations and concerns that your algorithms are promoting more and more extreme content at people. Whatever they search for, what they get back is a whole load more extreme recommendations coming through the algorithms. You are the king of the search engine. And yet, your search engines are promoting things that further and further radicalise people. Whatever they search for, they get something more back.
And we are working to make sure that is not happening. We, for example, on news, where we have a lot of problems in this space, we are beginning to use an authority ranking to make sure that when you start with a news from a quality source, that you continue to be suggested news from quality sources.
Raymond Chisty.
By the way, I'm seeing a lot of defeatist attitudes in the where is that? Like, where's UK has been sold? Like, a lot of you guys are at. Okay, so guys, a lot of you here in the live chat are Tommy fans, and then at the same time you're saying UK has been sold, UK has fallen, UK is lost, blah 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 blah, and these are all these defeatist attitudes. How could you be Tommy fans when Tommy is not giving up and fighting for his country, and you guys are acting like there is no hope? You act like you're patriots, and then you don't want to stand and fight for your country, and you have this defeatist attitude as if all is gone. This is not. This is your expression of ideas is not consistent. What is this like? Oh, UK is lost. Like, no, get up and stand up and fight for your country, people. Take it back.
Points, if I may. With regards to the tragic and horrific incident at Finsbury Park Mosque, the vile act carried out by Darren Osborne, and the following judgment given by Mrs. Justice Chima Garb to say the short time between seeing the material, being radicalised and carrying out a violent terrorist incident, that the individual had in part been radicalised by seeing material by Tommy Robinson. Your experience,
I love this. Ahmed Mustafa in the live chat is saying, grow a spine and fight back. That's right, Ahmed. That's right, Ahmed. Fantastic.
Had in part been radicalised by seeing material by Tommy Robinson. Your experience, you've worked at the State Department advising on extremism. I've seen you've written a number of books. You've been at a number of think tanks. The vile material put out by Tommy Robinson, just in the question earlier that you raised about your policy and your criteria, does his vile poison material online violate your policy criteria?
I can say in general that hateful content can create an atmosphere that can lead people to radicalize. Whether his specific statements fall foul of our guidelines or not, I cannot tell you without looking at the specific content.
Anyways, like I say, that YouTube counterterrorism boss has no clue what these people are talking about. He's used to fighting against actual terrorists, not just right-wingers that the Labour Party doesn't like. But by the way, he complied and took Tommy Robinson, suppressed the algorithm. They were trying to brand Tommy a terrorist 6 years ago, but guess what? Those same MPs who were grilling him from the Labour Party, they're now in power. Remember, the Brits had their election on July 4th, and Labour swept in. And that blonde woman who was leading the charge against Tommy Robinson there, She's now actually the Home Secretary for the UK, which is a senior position in charge of policing and counterterrorism. In other words, that crazy lady who wanted YouTube to brand Tommy Robinson a terrorist and throttle him on YouTube, she's now running the joint. You could say, in a way, she's the number 2 politician in the entire UK. That's why the UK is not hesitating to use terrorism laws to sweep up inconvenient journalists. Everyone in the UK should be worried, and everyone outside the UK who loves that place and knows it's the home of freedom of speech should be desperately worried. For Rebel News, I'm Ezra Levant, and to follow all of our coverage of this, including our reporter Alexa Lavoie, who was on.
All right, so thank you for that. So Dee was asking, well, like, what is this disgusting stuff that these people are referring to? I don't know exactly what they were referring to. Like, can I see, like Dee was saying, can I see this vile material? Well, let me show you what passes as vile, because this tweet got, a lot of 172,000 views, and so many people agreed with it. And this person, so a lot of people in the UK seems to agree with this. They want to see what passes as racism and bigotry. So they posted some of the protesters at Tommy Robinson's rally, who are saying, who are chanting, sticking Islam up your ass. Like, let me put the video up here. So this is the video that they're referring to. Like, this is an example of what passes as bigotry and racism. You could see that this guy was angry about it. So look, actually, let me read the caption. This account on Twitter, some guy, he's saying, beautiful bit of British culture here, singing the old traditional song of sticking Islam up your arse. I remember singing that at Scouts in the 70s as a kid. So he's mocking them. And he's saying, fucking dopey racist cunts. So he's calling these people at Tommy Robinson's rally racist because of this chant. So let's listen to it. If you want to see why these people are called vile, this is why they're called vile. So let's see how vile this is. Okay, stick your fucking Islam up your ass. How is that racist? Can somebody explain to me how is that racist? That's a position against Islam. Can somebody explain to me how is this bigoted? How are these people vile? I mean, we have said a lot worse about Islam here on this channel. Like, are we racist? I'm not racist. That's a pretty funny chant. Yeah, that's funny. How is that racist? Like, look at the level of confidence these people have, like, regarding how vile this is. This passes as racism in the UK. I didn't know Islam was a race, but okay. Let me actually go show you these tweets. There was this Ezra Levant that was explaining what all this laws and stuff was about. Hold on. The terrorism law. So this is the law that they used against Tommy, and Ezra here explains it. Why would Tommy Robinson be detained under the Terrorism Act? He's not a terrorist and has never been accused of being one. The answer is the powers granted to police under Schedule 7 of that law. So we can see this is the screenshot of that. And says, here's a screenshot of a key passage. If you're arrested under the law, you cannot remain silent. This is La La Land. This is I don't know. This is a dream. Am I awake? Is this real? You cannot remain silent. You must hand over anything without a search warrant. Guys, we should introduce people to the principles that made the West great, because this ain't it, guys. This ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it at all. Let me continue reading. It says you do have a right to consult a lawyer, but police can delay your right to consult one. This is an astonishing law designed for extremely rare instances where, for example, a terrorist knows about a ticking bomb that's about to go off. They're using it illegally on Tommy. So this is for rare extreme cases where you need to, not even if you want to use it against a terrorist, it's supposed to be like a rare situation. Like even if you arrest the terrorist should be able to have access to the lawyer. If you want to search their phone, you have to have a warrant, and even with a terrorist, you need to supposed to have all of that. This law is supposed to be only for those rare extreme cases where you have a terrorist and they know something that you need to have access to, and it's immediate. Like you need to know it now, or else there's going to be very huge consequences. That's for that. So it's not, even terrorists are not supposed to be treated like this, apparently, unless that rare situation is happening. So okay, they're using it illegally against. So this should there should be a legal backlash. Like there should be patriotic lawyers in the UK lining up to basically attack the government, attack the police for doing this. Like, is there going to be a legal backlash beyond protests and people complaining? Like, beyond just talking about it and saying this is wrong, are there going to be a legal campaign of lawyers taking legal action against the police and holding people responsible for this action, or is this just going to be people pointing and complaining? So the next point is the whole of the UK and much of the world notices the two-tier policing that is now normal. Oh wait, so let me actually show you the other screenshot of the part of this law that they're using. See, it says so this is the law, right? You see it on the screen. In certain circumstances, under paragraph 8 of Schedule 8 to the Terrorism Act 2000, or paragraph 16 of Schedule 8 in Scotland, an officer of at least the rank of superintendent may delay this right. Okay. Wow. So, yeah, this all should be investigated. So, okay, the whole of the UK and much of the world notices the two-tier policing that is now normal. Weekly pro-Hamas marches attract no police or prosecutorial. Did I read that right? Let me actually pronounce this properly. Yeah, I did. Prosecutorial attention. Pro-British marches attract condemnation, pepper spray, and arrest. Yeah, we saw at the beginning of the video that I showed you. Like, why? This is a terrorism law, and all of these people in the UK that are openly supporting Hamas, only one of them, that Chaudhry guy, was recently arrested after years of supporting terrorism. But all of these, they attract no police attention, and yet terrorism laws are used against somebody who's fighting people who support terrorism. This is the irony, guys. Terrorism laws in the UK is not used against people who are supporting terrorism or actually organizing terrorism. Terrorism laws in the UK are used against a person who is fighting against terrorism or people who support terrorism. Amazing. This is like this is just turning into a circus. This is a joke. Tommy has a civil court matter scheduled. I was right. This is a civil court issue. Tommy has a civil court matter scheduled for tomorrow, and the government is obviously worried Tommy will go back to Spain, where he lives. There was no legal way to stop him, so they used this to stop him. Oh, okay. So they used an illegal way. They broke their own law to pretend he was a terrorist with a bomb. I've seen this before with Tommy. A few years ago, he was scooped off the streets, taken to a 10-minute trial, and was sentenced to prison for contempt of court. just for asking rapists on their way into the court what they thought of their trials. Okay, Tommy was doing what every court reporter does, but he was arrested and jailed immediately, and the entire establishment was either silent about it or cheered. He was the first journalist jailed in the UK for contempt of court in 80 years. The Court of Appeal finally overturned that illegal arrest, illegal ruling, and illegal sentence, but then he was prosecuted a second time and sentenced a second time for the same facts. He served his sentence in the same prison as Julian Assange was held. Okay, so yeah, that's insane. I don't know how to deal with all of this. But let me actually see what you guys are saying. Alfred has starred some of your comments. Mugiwara Luffy is saying, based on lefty logic, it's far right. If you don't agree with leftists 100% of the time, you are far right. So yeah, many times that seems to be the case. Sayed is saying Islamophobia. Sayed Alim is saying Islamophobia is the word used when everyday normal Muslims are restricted from their faith or discriminated because a terrorist decided to combat Israeli terrorism. Islamophobia is the word used when everyday normal Muslims are restricted from their faith or discriminated because a terrorist decided to combat Israel terrorism. Well, say it. That's not how the word Islamophobia is used. You're just making stuff up. Islamophobia is a word used when people have a position against Islam. And they're called Islamophobic. So yeah, you're completely wrong. You know that, and I think you know that you're wrong. You're just changing it just to make it seem like it's a legitimate word to use. It's not the case. Like so here's the thing. Here's how easy it is to show how full of shit you are. Right? I have never restricted average Muslims from their practicing their faith. I've never done that. And because the terrorists decided to combat Israel terrorism. So that part, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a terrorist, okay? And I criticize Israel sometimes, and I support them most of the time. And I'm not a terrorist, and I've never restricted a Muslim from practicing their faith. And I've been called an Islamophobic plenty of times. So yeah, that word is not used the way you think it is being used, or you're just lying. Bipedal species is saying far right. That's a rookie statement. I've been getting called racist for over a decade because I am against mass uncontrolled immigration and open borders like with the EU. Yes, exactly. And also, even those people who accuse you of racism because of that might want to be reminded that those countries, the people which those races come from, are also against uncontrolled mass immigration to their country. This is something anybody who wants to protect their nation state would be against mass uncontrolled immigration to their country. This is called protecting your nation state. It's not called racism. Just be careful, guys. You guys are not racist for protecting your country, for being nationalistic, for being patriotic or nationalist. None of that is racism. Do make sure that you don't sound like you're denying that their racism exists. I'm not saying you're doing that. You're not. But because there is racism and you guys are not racist, you being against mass migration, that is not racist. You being patriotic, that is not racist. You wanting to defend your nation state, that is not racist. All of that are good classical liberal values that you should be having, and you should be congratulated for it. But also acknowledge that there are racist people and that you don't want anything to do with them. Because if you do not acknowledge that, some people go too far by acting like there's no racist people, right? So just make sure that you acknowledge that they do exist and that you're against them. Levantix is saying, do far-right Persians even exist? Well, yeah, I mean, my definition of far-right is not somebody who's against mass migration, is not somebody who's being patriotic. My definition of far-right is somebody with right-leaning views who is also maybe like racist, anti-Semitic, anti-woman, anti-LGBT rights, right? So these are the people who are called far-right. Most people who are labeled as far-right, they're just being patriotic and they're against mass migration and they want to protect the culture and the values of their country. Those are called far-right and they're not far-right, okay? Far-right people are actually genuinely racist. And yeah, every country has those, a fair share of those. They're less than the people make it seem to be. Because of World War II and the experience that the world had with it, many people just attribute like nationalism, expressions of nationalism, with being far right for some reason. Magner is saying, watch his documentary Silenced before they remove it. Hell, can we even say that? If this is that even legal to say now? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I could say that now. I'm worried. So guys, if it's only do legal things for I'm saying that for the survival of this channel. Tread is saying, I feel good because British imperialism is the root cause of every problem in the world. Oh, so this person is, I don't know, what are you, like a far lefty guy, a commie, or a Muslim? Yeah, British imperialism is the root cause of every. You know you're stupid when you use words like every. Absolute statements shows that you're not being a logical person, right? First of all, and British imperialism is gone. I think you are a little bit behind on the news thread. The British Empire is no more. I don't think you haven't received the memo or the update. So you're either stupid or very ignorant. And even when the British Empire was a thing, they were not the cause of every problem. Nothing is the cause of every problem. And the British Empire was the cause of some problems, many problems, and also the solution to many problems. The British Empire brought a lot of people in former British Empire colonies are sometimes ungrateful about how much more advanced their countries are because they got to be a colony of the British Empire. So the British Empire brought a lot of blessings to the countries that it colonized. I'm not saying it was all rosy rainbows and butterflies. It brought some misery and hardship, but they also brought a lot of technology, industrialization, new standards and norms that makes a country progress faster. So see the good with the bad, okay? Don't be so black and white about it. Allied Atheist Alliance is saying that black woman is clearly just racist against Islam. That's good. Yeah. So let's go to Mahmoud Unaz Khan. Mahmoud Unaz Khan is saying, Armin has nightmares about Islam growing. You cannot stop Islam. Allah will send his punishment upon you. Well, actually, technically, personally, Islam gives me an excuse to make more videos. So I don't know what you're talking about. Islam is bad for society, but I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I make these videos for the sake of other people because I come from a country that was ruined by Islam, Iran, but now I'm not exposed to all of that Islam. I have left that. My life is Islam free. I'm doing this for you, Mahmoud. You have been you're sick with Islam, and I'm trying to help you. You're not just being grateful. You're not being grateful for me trying to cure you from Islam. But I am free from Islam. I'm Islam free. I've been Islam free, and I'm doing fine. AKK is saying, Armin, why you hate all Muslims? What the hell is wrong with you? Why do you think I hate Muslims? Okay, I love Muslims. In fact, I'm doing this for them. Muslims are sick with Islam. I'm trying to help them out. I love them. This is me helping them out. Why do you think I hate Muslims? When did I say I hate Muslims? Unbelievable. Yeah. This man. Okay, so this guy is just triggered. Mahmoud is saying, I am so happy for the unstoppable growth of Islam. I think this guy is just offended by the things that we're saying. So he's just trying to say things that he thinks that we would be annoyed by, but we just find it funny. If you're trying to annoy us, you have to try harder because it's not working. Oh, look at this. This guy is trying to find, like, this guy is a Muslim. He's trying to find ways to make us angry. In Minneapolis, they allowed the azan to be broadcast publicly. What do you think? Sounds like a great opportunity for us to do a new segment. Well, thank you, Mahmoud, for helping Atheist Republic with the news item. If this is recent, well, thank you for informing us. You're helping this channel. He's trying so hard to trigger me. Oh my god, it's so cute. Keep trying, Mahmoud. Keep trying. This is so much fun. Okay, so A is saying Tommy is playing you for donation. He was quiet and then came back during Gaza war. Open your eyes. Well, thank you so much, AKK, for reminding people that Tommy is accepting donations. Guys, if you are Tommy fans, Tommy needs your help. You can see how he's surrounded by so many enemies. There's so many people, the media and the state is against them. So he needs as much ammunition as he could get. And as AK is rightfully reminding everybody here, Tommy is accepting donations. So please go, if you can, if you're financially stable, and support his fight. Thank you, AK. You were trying to. Thank you for this reminder. AK. Some people are now going to go donate to Tommy, and you're responsible for it. How do you feel about that? And somebody's saying, like, guys, can tell him that you're going to go donate to Tommy because of that, so he knows that he's responsible for Tommy making a little bit more money. Just tell him that. Levantix is saying, like and subscribe. We're going to be 60K soon. Guys, we're so close. We're so close. Oh my God, we're less than 100 away. Let me see. No, this is not the right channel. Let me see how many, guys. We're growing so fast. Atheist Republic is good. Islam is growing fast. We're growing fast. Atheist Republic is growing fast as well. Guys, we're less than 70 subscribers away from 60K. Thank you for a reminder of that. Ziv is saying, Armin, what do you think of these anti-Semite losers who use terms like America first only to be anti-Israel and anti-waving the Israeli flag in the US, but still advocating for the Palestinians? Okay, well, I'm against isolationism. One of the problem I have with right-leaning people is that many, not all of them, some right-leaning people are correct to care about mass migration, to care about the culture and the values that made the country great, to care about the border integrity, and those priorities are correct. However, then I lose them many times when they are isolationist, like the idea of America first. Yeah, America should be first, but America first should not mean that you should dismiss how important your relationship with other countries and cooperation with them and global trade is. Free economies, free trade, and all of that, right? So sometimes America first doesn't mean America first. Sometimes America first means like isolationism, and I do not support that. And obviously, I don't agree with anti-Semites. Even like people who are not anti-Semites, but they're saying America first, not because. So what if I want to be America first? I have to do the best things for America. So the best things for America includes a global relation and trade and allies with other great countries, right? That would genuinely be America first. But so many people so many right-leaning people have this isolationist and protectionist view of economy, and that's why when they get to power, they pass policies that make people poorer, and that's why their time in power is so short-lived. And then people have such a bad experience with them, and then they go back to left, and then the leftists will unfortunately open the doors to mass migration. So I'm hoping that we could here on this channel, we could like promote the idea of both the best ideas from all sides. So nationalism, patriotism, defending your borders, defending your nation state, saying no to mass migration, defending the values that made your country great, but also understanding that we live in a global economy and that we have to value our allies and our relationship with other countries. And there are certain problems that require a global force and global unions, right? So a lot of people don't understand that. I always say to people who are anti-globalism, but also anti-Islam, and I always tell them that Islam is a global threat. How could you fight a global threat without a global response? Ziv is saying, Armin, what do you think of these? Oh, I already read that. And wave Palestinian lives. Yeah, okay, I already answered it. Ahmed is saying, Ahmed Mustafa is saying, Armin, is it possible to make a stream about liberal values or write a book or an article about it? Well, I mean, you could do this book. Hold on. Here's a good book to get started with. Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now. But good question. I might do more videos about it if there's demand for it. Did Ali Dabo get any problem when he said he was proud of the execution of ex-Muslims and Muslim states? Yeah, exactly. We have people in the UK who are saying that they're proud of their religion, mandating the execution of people like me, like ex-Muslims, which is basically an incitement to violence. And the UK does nothing to him, and his channel is up, and that video is up. No consequences for that, but Tommy is terrorism laws are used against him. The double standard here could not be any more apparent. Levantix is saying, thanks for clarifying. You're not a terrorist, my man, Armin. Well, I'm glad that you appreciated that. I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear and on the same page. All right, guys. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure if you're watching this on Twitter, what are you doing? Come over to YouTube, Atheist Republic on YouTube, and subscribe to Atheist Republic on YouTube. And also like the stream, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Once the show is over, leave a comment for the algorithm. If you don't know what to say, just say for the algorithm gods. You could do a prayer. Here at Atheist Republic, the only gods that we worship, fear, and recognize are the YouTube gods, right? We do sacrifices to them. The sacrifice is 1 second of your time, which is take for the like button, maybe 10 seconds of your time for leaving a comment, subscribing, the bell. You know how in Hindu temples, when you go in, you hit the bell before you go in? That notification bell is just that. It's the Atheist Republic temple. Hit the bell notification. That's the bell that before you go into the temple. Okay, so do that. And then, yes, and then tell your friends, your enemies, and strangers, and your dogs, and your cats, and your pet fish, and everything and everyone else to come subscribe to Atheist Republic. Thank you for that. Till next stream. Bye-bye.